Yeah, if you were looking for an offensive output for the ages, I wouldn't recommend going back and watching that game last night. That was on both sides. C.J. Stroud struggled. The Texans didn't look great on offense.
It felt like great defense, too. Like I don't know why we can't just give credit to the defenses. Those are two of the better defenses in the NFL.
Because it's more fun.
Okay. Maybe that guy, huh?
Yeah.
I give a ton of credit to the Texans defense. I believe it was Pittsburgh's offense that led to the demise of Pittsburgh's defense. That's kind of how I shook it out.
That's one of those you give them the side eye when they come off.
It was. Like, hey man, y'all are going backwards. Like, we're fighting our asses off to keep us in this game, and y'all are not only going backwards on the plays, but on drives, but you're coming off of the field very quickly. Like, we can help y'all. We can help, but can you give us a tad bit of time to rest?
I was getting so excited going to the fourth quarter. I was like, all right, we got a ball game, 7-6. Here we go. It's going to come down to one of those final 2-minute. What the?
It just broke wide
it just
open.
Fell apart.
Yeah, man. Because they were slowly wearing down, and I think, like, give credit to the coaching staff for the Texans. They knew it. They knew this was, like, they saw what type of game it was turning out to be. That's why they just turned to the run. Like, F it. We just going to bang it. We're going to bang these Steelers in Pittsburgh, nonetheless. We're going to visit Pittsburgh. We're going to touch down on the North Shore. Rivers is right there. Y'all going to go over to the sports book and to the tables over there as soon as the game's over, because there's not going to be any post-game parties. No DK talking about I had to turn around and go home because there was too much traffic to try to get to where we're at Acrisure to have a good time and party after the victory. It was not a Baltimore Ravens evening for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Texans knew it. They knew it. They knew if they brought that pressure the way that everybody knew they were going to bring the pressure, and they didn't have an answer for it, that if you run the ball, they're going to wear down. At what moment is it going to happen? They may have not have known, but within 4 quarters, there's a strong possibility that the team would fall apart, and they did. So I think,
can't you just, like, at some point, with how bad that division was this year and how inconsistent, maybe like a little wife swap situation where, like, the Bengals give you their offense and you let them borrow, or vice versa, like something along those lines. Because I watched
that would be interesting.
My thought in who do you want would be better for the playoffs when it came to the Ravens and the Steelers winning that game last week, and I thought the only team that I think has potential threat to anybody is Baltimore out of that division.
Because Lamar Jackson would be able to move around and run versus that type of pressure, but he didn't do it. He didn't do it against Pittsburgh. So if he was going to be the Lamar Jackson that played against Pittsburgh, you're not going to get what you thought you were going to get from the Baltimore Ravens.
Like, they completed, like, Rodgers found Thielen on it was like a 20-yard gain, and the crowd went nuts.
And
they got to like the 40.
I saw them dudes come walking out. Did you guys watch the pregame part of it? Like, when they were talking and stuff like that? When the Texans came walking out for warm-ups, I said, my God. I said, holy moly. Did you see the way they looked?
Oh, the best defense in the league. It's not even close.
Yeah. But physically, them dudes, I was like, Trish, look at their arms. And she was like, what's wrong? Because she's a mom now, right? Like, so she's like thinking about her kid, I guess. She's like, oh, I saw that the arm brace on him. I was like, yeah, go back to Sims. It's all good,
She's still doing Sims?
Oh yeah, she should be a designer. She should be like a.
She was doing that 4 years ago. She should be like a fame.
Bruh, she could design y'all's homes impeccably. It would be freaking phenomenal. Anyway, I'm looking at these dudes and I'm like, that's impressive. They came walking out, and if they weren't yoked up like King of the Jungle yoked up, then they were like more like, like drag the knuckles on the ground yoked up, like Neanderthal big. Like, just big dudes.
Whoa.
They built, Yeah, I mean, hey, when you got some Neanderthals along that defensive front, things is going to shake and things is going to move.
I'm not comfortable.
Okay.
Why?
Yeah, this took an interesting turn.
Way to alienate Brady and I from the discussion here.
If you look at Neanderthals, most of them aren't, considered to be like your complexion. I mean, so if y'all trying to
can
make
I
it
ask
racial,
this question?
Not mine.
Yeah.
Do we think that's Aaron
just like
Rodgers' last game?
Yes, has to be.
Has to be?
Absolutely. First of all, to me, all right, let me throw a question back at you. Is it Aaron Rodgers' choice as to whether it's his last game or not?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it is. Because, look, they helped you win the division. Anyone could say whatever they want about the division, they won the division. They got to the playoffs. My issue is it's such a hard offense to watch, man. Oof. It is so bad to watch. I mean, I was just doing a breakdown of his entire season as far as the targeted depth of his throws.
What was it? 3 yards?
Damn.
No. It's so I can only do this.
I'm sorry.
It feels like
it was an easy layup. It was a layup.
To your point, it feels that way, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 2/3 of every pass goes either behind the line of scrimmage or within 9 yards of the line of scrimmage, which it feels that way. Like it feels like it's just a dink and dunk, which it's such a long departure. I've said this before, from what he was as an MVP, from what he was at Green Bay. It is tough to watch. And it's almost similar to like when Riley Leonard came in for the Colts. Granted, they didn't win the game, but that last game of the season, I'm like, oh, there it is. Some deep shots downfield, a couple big plays. Where's this been? It's like, well, you went with a 44-year-old Phillip Rivers who wasn't pushing the ball down the field. And it's like, no, that's what you need to do in order to put up points and create big plays. You can't expect to go 10, 11, 12, 13 play drives every single drive. It doesn't happen. DK Metcalf's going to drop a ball.
He did.
Or someone's going to get beat up front. There's going to be a tackle for loss. You're behind the sticks. Or there's going to be a miscommunication with something Rodgers does. Like it's not what wins in the NFL anymore. And forget that. It's not what wins in college football anymore. Like defenses have gotten too good to the point where you can't consistently drive down the field for double-digit plays and expect to win games or score a bunch of points. You can't. It's so frustrating to watch. And it's not like he doesn't have a good arm. He can still do it. Like he can. There's examples of that. I don't know if it's Arthur Smith's philosophy. I don't know if it's what Aaron Rodgers wants. I just know it stinks to watch. It's such a long departure from what it used to look like when he was back there. And they've got the players to do more. So I don't know if it's his last one or not. I just know like every time I'm going, oh man.
It's interesting you said, is it the offensive coordinator? You know, I had a conversation. I interviewed our new offense coordinator at Penn State, Taylor Mauser, and young dude, and bro, she got that right. The amount of energy that came off of him was freaking amazing. I started thinking to myself, and this is relevant to the Pittsburgh Steelers because we continue to have the conversation about the offense and how inept it is through the years. This isn't just an Arthur Smith deal. This has been a Pittsburgh Steelers deal. They've had different quarterbacks. They've had different receivers. They've had different coordinators. What's been the constant? It's Mike Tomlin. And while we may look at it and think differently, that's the common denominator. So I was thinking about this, like after I did this interview with this new offense coordinator, I was like, my God, I was like, James Franklin had gotten to a point where the beatdown of the fan base, the media, everything that he had going on had taken such hold of how he handled things, whether it was the way he interviewed and the things that he said, very measured, super measured, because you're always protecting yourself. There's no trust. I feel like Mike Tomlin, like when Mike Tomlin was banging his chest after they beat the Ravens, he's not banging his chest because he's happy for them winning the game. He's banging his chest because of all of the critics that are sitting there throwing him out there and have been saying he needs to lose his job or he needs to be in question for his job. That's been the narrative for quite some time with Mike Tomlin. I think you get to a point of where you're more focused in on staying within the parameters of what you've created, your structure of what you created, rather than just being a coach that just lets it go. Like what got you there? When you're trying to get there, you don't just live in process. You do process, you do structure, but you take chances, you take risk. You know, when you feel like you could lose it at any point in time, somebody can come get you at any point in time, you don't. You stay within the parameters, because within the parameters you can say, here's what we did. I can show you it. Here's the information. Yeah, we lost in the first round, but we made it to the first round. Yeah, we didn't get out of the first round. We made it to the wild card round, but we won the AFC North. You get to a point of where you use justification versus just being loose and getting after it. And I felt that when I did that interview yesterday. And I kind of feel like when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, there could be that could be what's going on in Pittsburgh. The common denominator is you have a coach that may have the same type of approach, the same type of feeling, based off of the same fan base too, by the way, in terms of the big game. Now we're talking the playoffs. The big game is the playoffs for Mike Tomlin. And he can't seem to get out of the first round. Can't seem to do it.
Tomlin spoke afterwards about his future and a little message he might have for fans following another playoff loss. That's 7 losses in a row in the postseason for the Steelers. Here was Mike T.
How do you approach a decision about your future?
I'm not even in that mindset as I sit here tonight. I'm more in the mindset of what transpired in this stadium and, certainly what we did and didn't do. Not a big picture mentality as I sit here tonight.
What's the message to the fan base after another disappointing loss?
Again, when you don't get it done, words are cheap. It's about what you do or you don't do. And so I appreciate the question, but people talk too much in our business. You either do or you don't.
So it feels like
always on the defense, man. Not hey, what a great season. You guys have a depleted team. You got an old-ass quarterback. You guys won the AFC North and made it to the postseason. Good season. What's next? It's always defensive, And I always feel like when you're on your way out, you could tell me, you've been a part of some teams where, like myself, when you hear certain tones and certain ways of how the interaction between a coach and the media, you start to say, okay, how much longer is it going to be? When it's and that wasn't confrontational, it's just negative. There's nothing positive about what they ask. And I know it's a loss, but you can get that same type of questioning, line of questioning, even in a win.
Not in Jacksonville, right? Like Jacksonville, they would have been hyping him up.
Yeah, well, there you go. How about that? But think about it. It's a funny little insertion, right? But think about that. Like, they took the time to say, that lady said what she said to him, like, you keep your head up, child. You did a great job. Like, ain't nobody said that to no Mike Tomlin. Ain't nobody encouraging Mike Tomlin. It's like, what's next?
There's a lot of truth to what you're saying, and I see that too. I don't know what the future holds, because again, you let go of Mike Tomlin, he immediately goes to the top of the list, along with John Harbaugh, of coaches that everyone's looking for, and that becomes one of the more coveted jobs for, I don't know, John Harbaugh or whoever else, right? Like, that's how that stuff works, and they have to make a decision if they want to just start new. They've got a number of aging players. T.J. Watt's getting up there, and Rodgers is up there, so they went all in on this year. I don't know if you say it's a success or not. Winning the division, I think, is tough in the AFC North. So they were able to accomplish that. However, Does this get better in a year? So I'm going through the numbers and just going back to the offense. 66% of their passes are within 9 yards or of the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. 88% are from the 19 and in, which it's glaringly obvious. Like, this is a team that's like, it's almost like a ball control offense. I just don't think that wins anymore in the NFL. And I'm not sure if that changes. If Arthur Smith he's been interviewing for head coaching jobs, so maybe he goes somewhere else. He kind of has some ties to Tennessee, obviously, given his family background. So I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if it's the exact same. But I do know they've got to figure out a way of finding a guy that can help lead them to the playoffs and do something offensively. I don't know who that's going to be. I don't know if it's Rodgers or if they can find another maybe veteran that's looking for a new home. But man, it's a tough offense to watch. All credit to the Houston Texans, how good that defense is. But man, there's still, this has been a week to week thing. And I don't know if you guys feel the same, but it feels like they're just leaving a lot of potential production and big plays out there on the field.
It's the same Steelers that we've seen for years now. Like, that's why watching them down the stretch, it was like, man, that's awesome. They're going on a run and they're going to make the playoffs and maybe they'll make the postseason and win the division, but it's going to be the same result as it always is. They're going to get to the postseason and just not have enough. And whether it's offensively or whatnot, look, they probably should have addressed the quarterback position in the draft in Ben Roethlisberger's final years. They probably should have done what Green Bay did with Aaron Rodgers.
But didn't they try? Didn't they feel like they were getting out with Pickett?
Pickett was there after Roethlisberger left. So Mason Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph.
But he was like a third-round pick, and Roethlisberger was pissed about it. I remember we talked about it, Brady. He called into like some local Pittsburgh radio show on a Saturday because he was pissed off. Well, I felt like we had other needs, and we're taking a quarterback in the third round. It's like, all right.
It wasn't wrong. I mean, he wasn't wrong. For a guy who's won a Super Bowl and a guy who had a lot of success there as a Hall of Famer, he's not wrong. But that's one of those moves, to your point. Like, you got to start thinking about if you're the franchise. And I don't know that they ever really gave it some serious thought, at least not in the first round.
And so they go and they draft Pickett, and it just didn't work.
It just didn't work out.
Like, it just didn't. It was like kind of a disaster, and they ended up having to go to Mason Rudolph again. And like, it just, they haven't figured that part out, and until they do, it just feels like this is where we're going to be with this team. They're just going to be a one and done, and it's almost like they've got to rip the Band-Aid off, and whether that's Mike Tomlin, whether that's a complete overhaul offensively, whatever it is.
They've tried overhauling. They've gotten rid of offense. How many offensive coordinators is this, Q? I know probably off the top of your head. Might not.
2.
It's at least 2.
Yeah.
It's at least
Tomlin?
2.
It's more than 2. But
since Haley, right? Like, let's go back to Todd Haley. How many how many offense coordinators have there been since they said Todd Haley wasn't?
Bruce Arians, Matt Canada.
Canada was the one
Todd
that
Haley.
He lingered on way too long. Way too long.
Yes.
They should have known after a year or two he wasn't the guy.
Again, it would be interesting to see. No, I don't. I'm just saying the common denominator here is the head coach. And I'm a Mike Tomlin fan.
What do you want him to do?
I just feel like sometimes there's one or two things that you can do, but one of the two is probably the only most likely thing that can happen at this point, because you see that he can't do it. You either got to totally release your offense. You have to release that influence that you have as the head coach and allow for whoever it is that's going to run the offense to run the offense free and clear of you. Free and clear of you, like literally free and clear of your influence during the games, during the practices, during the game planning. You got to get a guy that's really good. I'd say get a young guy and let them run the offense. Because anytime you get into these situations, it's always going to be your personality that takes over. It's always going to take over. If you're looking at listening to what Q's saying in terms of charting where they're going with the ball, it clearly says conservative football and don't make any mistakes, kick the ball, and play defense. And let's hope that leads to us winning. And it works. It works enough. It just doesn't work in the big game. It works enough. It just doesn't work in the big moments. And that's to me, that's the biggest denominator here. So, and then number two would be you just got to get a new staff. Like trying to overhaul. It's clear that your personality and your brand of football is your personality and your brand of football. And it's just not at this point. That's the way your relationship is built with the community and with the media and how you feel about yourself as it applies to your team and how you're going to run your team. It's so developed that it's not going to change. That's the relationship. That's the belief that you've developed during your time as the coach of this team, which means that you might need a change of scenery. I'm looking at Coach Franklin. I'm like, you probably won't have that type of relationship with Virginia Tech fans. They probably won't attack you as fiercely as Penn State fans did. The media might not come at you the same way that Penn State media came at you. I feel the same way about Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin needs to be in a place where he's the type of guy that he hasn't been appreciated for so long that his mentality has had to adapt and to adjust to not being appreciated, but being basically under fire all the time. He's constantly defending himself and what his job is that he does as the coach of this team. Might just need to be in a different place.